April and Caitlin, please take it away and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Richardson. I'm the academic support writing coach and adjunct librarian for the Hialeah Campus of Miami Dade College.
Hi, and I'm April Gaddis. I'm the Associate Director of Learning Resources at the Hialeah Campus and an adjunct faculty member within the SLS First Year Experience courses.
And I know a lot of you probably looked at our title today and either are interested and excited to see Wikipedia and how we're using it, or fearful that Wikipedia is being used in libraries. And I promise it's a little bit of both, and it's going to be great. So I wanted to start briefly with a very brief history of Wikipedia, and just to give a little background knowledge of where we came to our program. So Wikipedia began in January of 2001 by Jimmy Wales and Larry Sanger with a goal to create a free online encyclopedia that would be accessible to anyone, and really to compete against Microsoft Encarta, if any of you remember Microsoft Encarta, and Encyclopedia Britannica, which were digital, but you had to pay for them. And using a wiki platform, which is open source where anyone can edit, it really became the world's largest collaborative effort to create a knowledge management system. And within 3 months, by March, Wikipedia had already passed 1,000 articles. And 5 years later, in 2006, in that same month of March, they also passed 1 million articles. There are currently 303 languages of Wikipedia, and within English, over 49 million articles today. Technically, the number of articles today, 49,722,776, and over or just about 200 million articles in every language total. So the growth I want to mention is really important, because with exponential growth like that, it is very common to see growing pains on an exponential scale. And really this was started, we saw some of those first growing pains in 2005, where journalist John Siegenthaler discovered that someone had falsely stated that he was a suspect in the Kennedy assassination on Wikipedia. He wrote an article in the USA Today and was then published through a multitude of national media outlets talking about how horrible Wikipedia was, because anybody can edit it, which is one of the pros and cons, right? So anybody can go in, which allows a lot of content to be added very quickly, but also people can kind of put anything. And when a lot of academics looked at it in that context, rightfully so, became a little full of what that could mean. And that's, I think, where we first started seeing a lot of teachers and professors and librarians saying, let's not touch it, and really blacklisting Wikipedia as a resource. And what we're seeing now is, and we'll get into some of the specifics of it, but still to this day, a lot of academics are still telling their students, do not use Wikipedia, do not use Wikipedia, when in reality, a lot of those issues that we were seeing at the very beginning have plateaued and level off, as has the growth of the website. On average, there are about 7 minutes, as you saw, 7 minutes for an error to be fixed or redacted from a Wikipedia article, and there are thousands of bots that are in there constantly going in and checking and changing and making sure that articles are as clean as possible. Now, this is to say that Wikipedia still has issues, and that's going to always be the case, and we should always remember that, you know, the same way we don't tell students now to go to the World's Book or Britannica or anything to research. We still don't want it to be the main place where students are finding it. However, I think that it behooves us to look at how we can better use it as a tool, as opposed to how can we just tell them no, because that, you know, doesn't work. So really, I feel like Wikipedia has also been trying to bring academia back into it, and one of the things that kind of gives me a little bit of peace with it are the 5 pillars that Wikipedia has. They are: Wikipedia is an encyclopedia, which means it's not a soapbox. It's not there for original research or for someone's perspective. It's written from a neutral point of view, which kind of, you know, piggybacks off what the encyclopedia standpoint of it. That it's free content that anyone can use, edit, and distribute, which is a great way to teach students copyright infringement. Wikipedia's editors should treat each other with respect and civility, which has been a huge thing with our students, to show that, you know, you can make mistakes, you can learn, you can try. People should assume good faith and really work together as a community to better the platform. And Wikipedia has no firm rules, and really that is there version of be bold, go out, make changes, try new things. And again, especially working with students as we transition to talking to more, that we want them to really put some effort in and see them leave a mark and not be worried about it along the way. So the 5 pillars kind of help support us as we move forward with our project. So we'll get into that now.
All right, so one of the things that this all came about, conversation that Caitlin and I were having about just really trying to enhance a lot of the things that we have going on within our courses and trying to help our students the most, and also reach the goals of meeting the learning outcomes we have set for the actual classes that we're teaching, making sure that the goal of the class is met as far as the course description is concerned. So we started with first year experience. That's a course that I actually teach. And the first year experience courses at our college, and I think a lot of colleges and universities that's set up like this, it's kind of a catch-all for a lot of the basic foundational things that we want our students to have. At Miami Dade, the SLS 1106 course that we have going on, it's a 1-credit course and it's taught in an 8-week period. And so that setup already presents us with some opportunities to really do some dynamic things because of the time frame. But we saw this as a way to really challenge our students, introduce them to something new, and meet our learning outcomes. Miami-Dade has 10 learning outcomes that they want to actually accomplish within a course. That's from communicating effectively, teaching students how to do that, listening, speaking, writing, and reading skills. Also thinking critically, helping them to formulate strategies to locate, evaluate, and apply information. So, I mean, the list goes on, and we were looking at what could we do? How could we actually hit all of this information? Also, recourse goal, which is to help prepare students to be an ideal student, get them prepared for the rest of their academic career, and meet all these different other personal goals that we have just as educators. So out of our conversation about that, we start talking about Wikipedia. And we decided, this would be something great because, you know, research has shown us that students, over 50% of students, not more, are using Wikipedia for their first steps in research. They go to Google, and whatever they Google, the second or first thing that comes up sometimes is a Wikipedia article on that topic that they're looking at. So that's kind of like how we came to this. And so why use Wikipedia? Wikipedia helps us to meet all of the actual criteria that we have set out for ourselves as far as the learning outcomes are concerned, our course goals and course description, as well as the ATRL framework, which we'll get into a little bit later. So we were able to kind of get all of this done in like a one shot. So that was one of the reasons we were like, oh, this may be something good for us to actually use, being able to hit all of our goals that we actually wanted to hit on there. I mean, it just provided the students with a new way to open up to something that maybe has been like forbidden fruit for a while. I mean, yeah. We've had you know, times where one of the first things that we do, we start out when we're asking a class is like, how many times have you been told not to use Wikipedia? And so we kind of want to shatter that and kind of bring it to them so that they can see how to use this tool as an academic resource. And not to quote it, and we'll get more into that a little bit later, to how to make something work for you in an academic setting, because again, this is a first year experience course. These students are fresh out of high school. This is their first year in college, and so we want to be able to equip them with the necessary resources. So that is one of the reasons we decided that the first year experience course was a good starting point for introducing this, because there's so many other courses, which we'll get into a little bit later, that you can use this platform in, but that is why we chose it for the first year experience course, just to get those new students off and running. And we chose Wikipedia because it was going to help us meet the actual goals that we have set Caitlin, you want to
Yeah,
add?
we wanted to find especially a seamless way to add an underlying, especially, April and I both working in learning resources, working in the library, we also find the importance of adding information literacy to as many things as we possibly can. And so a way to kind of add a layer of information literacy to the endless layers of the course content, the learning outcomes, adding technology, digital literacy to courses. I think we wanted to find a way that took care of that seamlessly, because 8 weeks is not a lot of time.
And also the aspect of open educational resources. We want to, this one is kind of a shocking one. When I first started in this course a couple of years ago, because this is a 1-credit course, the textbook that has been aligned for this course costs more than the actual course. So I wanted to be able to, a way to teach my students something innovative and new, but also teaching them the basics and foundational things they needed without them having to break the bank or pay more for a book that costs more than class. So
throughout the semester, throughout the 8 weeks, participate in weekly assignments using Wikipedia, which we're going to go into, be a little clear about, and it culminates into one final project. And to kind of find a way to do this as seamlessly as possible, because again, we don't want to add more and more work to the faculty. It just can become daunting after a while. We were able to find WikiEDU, which is part of the Wikimedia Foundation, or Wikimedia Foundation, started in 2010, and really also has that same goal of how can we bridge academia and Wikipedia. And so they created the WikiEDU Foundation. I highly encourage you to go take a look at it and the resources that they're able to provide to find a way to add Wikipedia to the classroom and then to benefit the Wikipedia community as well. So this also goes into, again, another layer of Miami Dade College, their effort to become a change maker college, and a way for our students to make a difference in a community. And this is really a global community that they're able to do that in.
Right, because this is also another, when I say a catch-all with the first year experience course, I really mean it, because there's been so many layers that have been added to this course as far as faculty members are talking about they want to add a service learning component. They want to do so many things, make sure that change maker stamp that we have here at Miami Dade College is relevant. And this course has been the way to do it. And so once we started going through everything and doing our research, we realized this is service learning.
Yes.
Our students adding information, editing articles, or expanding them and uploading media to Wikipedia is basically you're serving your community on a global scale. And so that was one of the other goals that we wanted to accomplish. We had many. And so we layered that on, and this meeting allowed us to kind of do all of this in one, in a very neat way. We're going to go a little bit more into detail with that.
So as you can see on the photo on the right, just to touch very briefly on WikiEDU, really works to the saying that Wikipedia can be linked to any discipline through whatever type of assignment you want to create, whether it's a language class doing translation. What we focused on was creating expanding articles. And I know this sounds daunting, but the other great thing that's there to help you is that WikiEDU provides a platform to house all of this and to maintain all of this, and it's free of charge. At least for now.
For now. So get what you can.
At least for now, it's free of charge. It's been free since 2010. And it's the Wikipedia dashboard. Ooh, I'm hitting my arrow instead of the button. So the WikiEDU dashboard, which April really used closely as her class, we'll go into more detail on how that was beneficial.
Yes. So if you take a look at the actual photos that we have here, on the left, that's actually a screenshot from the dashboard of my class from this past 8 weeks. So you'll see the dashboard is really set up to be very intuitive, but I want to start off first talking about the before your class even starts. If you decide to do this, and I'm just going to explain my experience with it as an instructor. Of course, I read up about it. I myself got trained, and because those trainings are free and open to anybody that wants to do it, because I needed to see if this is something that my students will feel comfortable doing, and in order for that to be done, I need to see if I feel comfortable doing it and to be able to teach others. So before my classes even started, I was able to do that. Wikipedia provides a lot of support within the dashboard. I met with an actual Wiki EDU staff member before I even uploaded my course. And we did this through Skype and email to talk about kind of the assignment that I wanted and how I wanted this to be taking place in my class. And like we showed on a previous slide before, you can kind of set up your assignment or project in the amount of time span that works for you. And that's one of the things that I liked. I was able to kind of weave it into the fabric of my course the way that was beneficial for my students. And so you meet with your EDU staff person that's assigned to your course. You kind of set up the assignments. You can edit things all the time. You'll see an edit button at the top of the page there, and just add information as you need. Make sure the trainings are aligned. So once the class starts and during it, everything is already scheduled out. Students can always go back to the dashboard and see what they're going to be required to be trained on each week, what assignments are due. So that was very helpful for me. If you take a look at the right side, you'll see what the students are kind of responsible for, what the dashboard support provides, and as an instructor. And, I make a little joke once you get started, as an instructor, you set up everything beforehand. You're kind of cruising nicely there once you have everything set up. So because of all the support provided to you by the Wiki EDU staff, and the students are just going through and learning, and it's a step-by-step process that I think is really good, because this is also applicable to students in their other classes that they're taking, how they start out with research, how they're analyzing things, how they're drafting, how they're publishing. And so this support with the dashboard is really good. And again, at the end, if anybody, has questions or they want to look more in detail into our dashboards, we're definitely we're willing to do that.
So really what we want to talk about too is how information literacy really aligns to this. And the one thing that I really, really love, and the reason why we push this not only in first year interest programs, but also for any course, is the way that this ties to the ACRL framework. I don't know something that can really hit every frame of the framework as easily as this does, depending on how it's being used in the class. I mean, just with the basis of authority is constructed and contextual, teaching students how to assess the articles and see how do we know what expertise is, and having that discussion of, is this reliable, yes or no? No, we shouldn't be using the article. Yes, we should look at the resources and the references that are cited on those articles. And continuing all the way through learning how information creation is a process, and how can they, do the different research. How do we, do the research to add content. Even going into which one of my favorite ones is scholarship is conversation. Going into knowing that they're looking at an article that's not finished, and how is the article itself a conversation of how can I find the gaps, do research on my own through the databases, through the library resources, and put that content back in. Going through citation and avoiding plagiarism, how do I paraphrase and use this information that I found appropriately to put it back onto the Wikipedia article in a way that's not plagiarizing where I found it from and still benefiting the reader. So really, it really so smoothly hits everything on the framework. I think I nerded out too much about this, but I really find, depending on how you're using it in the class, you can target one frame, you can target the whole cycle, depending on the time you have. The other thing we really think that is important with this class is we have an embedded librarian. So for the semester, I'm the embedded librarian for April's course. I go in at the beginning and have a one-shot where I do an overview of the library resources, which is normal in an SLS class, and then I shock all the students by saying, I am a librarian and I love Wikipedia, and they think I'm a crazy person. And we kind of go over how to read Wikipedia article, look at the view history to see when it's been updated, and if it's recent, and if it's relevant, and what's going on the talk page. Are there fights happening, especially looking at articles that deal with current events. It's been eye-opening for them to see, well, all the information that's here, oh yeah, we looked at the State of the Union the day after the State of the Union took place, and looking at that article and seeing, well, this whole section was actually plagiarized. How can our students now go in and do proper citations and rewrite it in a way that's beneficial to those reading it?
Yeah, and I think having the embedded librarian, someone else to come into the class is very helpful for the students, because as a instructor, of course, you do want your students to seek out other reliable resources, and this is helping them along with what they're doing on Wikipedia as well, to kind of look and search out those resources. So having the embedded librarian within the course, them seeing the librarian's face, knowing the office location, and being able to contact that person was very, very helpful.
Yeah, I go in a couple times. I'm also the librarian that runs our Wikipedia on Wednesdays workshops, our WOW Wednesdays. So again, I have contact with that class throughout the entire semester. And lastly, we created a LibGuide. I'm going to post it right now in the chat if you want to take a look.
Yeah, the LibGuide was so helpful because that was another way that they can actually be in touch with the librarian, refer back to something that we referenced in class. So yeah. So
let's move on a little bit because we're running out of time.
Yes. So let's talk about the outcomes here. We definitely have had our share of outcomes that have been challenging and beneficial at the same time. So one of the benefits in which we really jumped on this was because of the fact that it addressed a lot of gaps in the areas of underrepresented groups. As you know, Miami Dade College is a Hispanic serving institution. I think we're up to like 74% when it comes to Hispanic students at our campuses. So that right there in itself is something that's new to Wikipedia as well, because the diversity of people of color, also too the gender gap. I can say in most of my classes there has been a heavy amount of female students, and that is a gap on Wikipedia. Research has shown that males dominate the actual editing of Wikipedia, and most of the articles that are very fully developed happen to be on sports. And so being able to address gaps like this has been very beneficial. Also, the skills that are gained, this goes back to the learning outcomes that college has set about students thinking critically, learning how to write in an academic setting has been very beneficial. And also, it goes along with the high stakes writing, but the Wikipedia pillars of just being bold, going out there, getting these students out there to the point where they feel comfortable writing something and publishing it. And students are gaining a lot from it as far as confidence is concerned as well, because they now have this project or that they worked on this article that is there in the World Wide Web. And it's not just a paper that's thrown in the trash and never to be looked at again. And so it's been valuable a lot for the students. Now, we've had some challenges.
There are always challenges. I think part of the challenges that we do see is the self-learning aspect. We identified in our first pilot semester that having students learn this on their own can be difficult. There is definitely a learning curve when it comes to adding any kind of technology, something like this, to a course. And we really addressed that in our second iteration by adding those workshops, our WOW Wednesdays, by having an open area where students can just come in and practice and meet with us. And we have music playing. It's very relaxed, but it's a way for them to have somebody to touch base with. And of course, just technology in general. A lot of it has been made easier by the addition of the visual editor, where Wikipedia allows users to edit what looks like the actual article. It doesn't change the screen view at all. But some of the additions that students want to make do need a little bit of source code. And so that does add a challenge, but students can kind of work at the level that they feel comfortable with. Right. And if that feels like too much, we can have them work on a different style of edit that still benefits their learning and benefits the community at large. And I think our last challenge is just a fear of failure. Yeah. And I think that our students get nervous, especially considering the high stakes of this and knowing that my work's going to be out there for anybody to see and I'm making changes. And as much as that's a challenge, I really feel like we're at least using that to transition into showing how their work does have value and that they are able to, make a difference, even if it's something small. They feel, and we've seen survey results come in where they feel like, I can't believe my little changes have made a difference. Someone's looking at work I've done. So that challenge is really a thing of the program challenge that we hope to usurp as we go through.
Right. And so a lot of the challenges that we've faced it's been able we've been able to turn those challenges into opportunities for growth for our students.
Absolutely.
Because with the technology aspect, we all know our students are coming in here. They're so savvy when it comes to social media platforms, but there is a gap with being able to write a paper, research something, and publish something. And so also to just help them with their fact checking when it comes to postings on the World Wide Web. And just the more confidence they have, that fear of failure leaves, and this is something that seeps into the rest of their academic career, as well as when they get ready to enter the workforce as well.
So the last thing we want to show is the statistics from the semester that just finished, our 8-week course that just finished this week.
Yeah, this week. Yeah, so if you take a look at the bottom, at the top of the dashboard, which is something that I think is engaging for the students, because when they log in, this is one of the first things they see. You'll see at the top just the detailed information about articles, what they've done and what they've edited. So this past 8 weeks, our students did not create an article. What they did was expand articles. We specifically worked on the Miami Dade College article. And as you'll see, the number of editors, we had 48 student editors this past 8 weeks, 6.62K words added. And then the article views, this is the amount of times that the articles they actually edited were actually viewed
by other people. So 1.21 million people have seen the changes that our students have made, which is kind of powerful.
It is powerful and really encourages our students. And you'll see at the end there, you have the common uploads. Again, this goes into media rights and media uploads. It also teaches students, like, you need to be able to, reference where you're getting these photos to the photo rights. And one of our students actually uploaded their own personal photo that they had actually captured and uploaded it to the Wikimedia Commons so that anyone can use it now.
And that kind of wraps it up for us for now. If you have any questions, we have a couple minutes here, but please feel free to email us and reach out to us for any kind of questions you may have.
Well, both for that amazing overview of a very ambitious project. As per usual, if anybody has any questions, please type them in the chat box. We do have a question from Bertha about any relation to WikiLeaks.
No, Wiki is actually a platform. So Wikis were created by Will Cunningham before Wikipedia existed. So the chicken or the egg, Wiki came before Wikipedia. So WikiLeaks is also just using that same open source platform. The same way you can find Game of Thrones wikis.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We appreciate it.
And again, if something comes up to you later, please feel free to reach out to us through email.
Reach out to us. And we're very passionate about this because this is something that, been for a long time telling our students not to use Wikipedia. It's like, that forbidden fruit, as we stated. But, once upon a time, we were told a lot of things were bad for us. I mean,
tomatoes were poison apples.
Baths were bad to take.
I'm really hoping sugar turns around for us in the future.
I really am hoping that one turns around.
All right, well, in just 2 minutes, our next presentation will be starting. A big thank you to